Okay, so what I'm going to present to you today, it's called the CIB detection tree. It's a series of criteria that we have gathered by researching all the methodologies employed by both platforms and non-platforms actors to fight coordinated inauthentic behavior. It's based on the OSINT techniques, and in any OSINT techniques, some part can be automated, some part can be assisted to help humans do the hard job, but it implies many. It will imply many misleads and false positives and a series of complicated research results that the humans will have to handle in the end. It's a study that we have developed with WeVerify and the EU Disinfo Lab. It's detailed in a series of 3 blog posts and 1 more to come on the EUGL EU Disinfo Lab website in more detail. So the very first, sorry, my presentation is. So the very first thing we have trouble with is a series of different definitions from the platforms, especially because some platforms like Facebook put the notion of fake accounts in the heart of their anti-CIB policy, and some other platforms are more lenient towards fake accounts or pseudonymity or anonymity, like, for instance, Twitter. So there is no real harmonized definition of CIB between platforms. Another complicated things we have is that there will be difference between actors and platforms and non-platform actors. Especially because the platforms doesn't want to look at the contents. The platforms want to remain neutral, and the platform want to remove coordinated inauthentic behavior, while non-platform actors will want to look at the intents, want to be objective rather than neutral, and they want to expose coordinated inauthentic behavior. This is a little an instance of what we have as a main difference. On the left, you can see what is fighting CIBs for platforms. It's mostly based on anti-spam and about so CAPTCHA. It's basically a robot asking CIB to prove they are not robots. It's a bit exaggerated, but most of the anti-CIB policy from the platforms is based on spam detection. For non-platforms, you have 2 instances in various studies. You have a screenshot of Rappler database, which is called the Shark Tank, and it was completely manually populated by accounts they identified as being coordinated inauthentic behavior. You have also on the bottom right an instance of how Graphica detected GAN picture, and it was done manually, but I'm pretty sure it's what Simeon has just presented you. It will be done. It will be automated in the near future. As I said, the thing is that CIB, the notion of coordinated inauthentic behavior, creates a space for a possible collaboration between platforms and non-platform actors. However, the thing is in OSINT, the idea is that a proof is a proof because anyone can redo exactly all the steps that led to the discovery of that proof. So by opening all the process it's create the legitimacy of a proof. For the platforms, it will be a bit different. It will be about if an AI is able to find the proof. So to have a kind of a collaboration and to do something that is that can be done, it has to one has to become kind of a human anti-spam. What you can see here on the screenshot of the left is one of the criteria we use in the CIB detection tree. We call it inauthentic metrics. So you can see here that a video having more share than views or more like than views is a good indicator of inauthentic metrics. On the bottom right, you see another criteria that I will develop in a second. We call it inauthentic language behavior. When you see an account commenting in a non-Latin, non-English language, different from the one that is indicated in the bio, in the biography, it's a good indicator. So we have 4 branches of the coordinated inauthentic behavior detection tree. The first one is the source assessment. In this branch, the most important thing will be to look at flagged domains, and it was having done a job of getting the hands on a database, more possibly the database of known fakes that is developed by WeVerify currently, and to check if a content is already flagged in a database of known fakes or in a CIB database, because most of the CIB networks, they don't care if a content has already been debunked or not. So in any case, it will pop up in a database of debunked contents. We also have another thing that is useful is to track backlinks, also to see where the identified disinformation spreaders are pointing to. We have also the check for similar content criteria. Most of the time, it can be used by running an exact search operator on a search engine, but some CIBs are more developed, and you will have to develop more complex research. For example, a sequence of hashtags. So sometimes you have the content is different, the body of the message is different, but it will use the exact same sequence of hashtags or mention. This is an example of what I just talked to you about. This is a campaign we suffered at the Infolab from the, after we released one of our investigation, and it's a great case study of coordinated inauthentic behavior. And what we see here is that the body of the message is not exactly the same, but we can find traces of the exact same sequence of hashtags or the exact same sequence of mentions. The second branch is the coordination assessment. So it helps to assess, to delimit a network of accounts and to assess coordination between them. So the most useful things here is to check timestamps, and timestamps will reveal you 4 different kinds of behavior. You will find they will look human behaving like a robot. They will look robot, or they will look robot behaving like a human. The human, we know they post randomly, they sleep, they eat, etc. The human behaving like a robot will frantically post copy paste the same content on different spaces in the time frame of a minute or less than a minute. The robot, you also know, they post the same content at the exact same seconds. And the robot behaving like a human. I will show you an instance of that in a few seconds. Another crucial thing is to, for coordination, is to be able to distinguish between what is coordinated inauthentic behavior and what is coordinated authentic behavior. And for that, you have to try to match together the identification of a network and the checking of the coordinated behavior. So if you find the coordinated behavior, you have to assess the network. If you find the network, you have to find the coordination in it. It's also possible to detect intent by the intent of a coordination. If you go track the context of the activity of the network, you can also try to check for calls for coordination. For example, on one platforms, there are groups calling for coordination on another platform. This is what we found in one of our study in the EU Disinfolab as a robot behaving like a human. Rita Storen is a fake journalist, and she does not really sleep, but she's very exact. She always posts at the very same 09 minutes, and we also found by looking at the content she was posted that she was posting the body of the message were lacking punctuation. It were truncated in the middle of a sentence. So this is how we identified it was possible CIB. This is the third branch, the potential impact assessment. On this one, it's about numbers. You can check the checking for online traction. Usually, it's good to define an average number and to compare it with the suspects of the CIB. For instance, the Avas ran a study where they detected coordinated inauthentic behavior because they saw two very small Brexit outlets that they were having more numbers and more views than mainstream media. So it's a good way to do also what we call inauthentic metrics. I showed you an instance of that earlier, and yeah, it's about really easily checking if a video has more share than views. If suddenly a profile is posting is always having 2 or 3 likes on his post and suddenly having 100 or 200, these kinds worth checking. For the online circulation, we can check for mostly narratives, URL circulation, and where it's circulated online. And we also have to check if it's cross-platform. You have 2 ways to do for the cross-platform search. You have the one platform approach, basically taking one profile on a platform and seeing and checking all the links he points to, or the multiple the multiple platform approach, and you check. You will check, for instance, if there is the same name, the friend list names, or the same contact list on 2 different profiles in 2 different platforms. We also have migration assessments we can detect. For example, if you go on a Facebook page and try to check for the sentence for the keyword censored and associated with the keyword Telegram, there is a good chance you will find a post saying, "I'm censored on Facebook. here is my Telegram channel, and you can detect migration by small tricks like that. This is the last one. The authenticity assessment. It's useful to try to assess if one account is authentic or not. So we have the inauthentic language behavior. I just show you an instance. We also have to check for automated syndication. Here again, WeVerify tool can really help you in that one. If there is an API connecting the accounts, again, the time for the regular times of posting. There are also dissimulation indicators. If a page has changed names, because most of the time CIBs, they like to be repurposed accounts, so they can be populated with one type of content. For example, we saw K-pop fan page suddenly turned into political advertising. So check if the names are changed, if the picture are changed, if the content is suddenly having nothing to do with the previous content. Inauthentic metrics I told you about in the previous branch. We also have to check, there are some database of usual suspects platforms where that are known for organizing coordinated inauthentic behavior. Here we can talk about the infamous Forum 1825 in France, but also 8chan, Gab, Parler, etc. This is my last frame to sum up the debate of the hybrid model. This is a picture from the 1987 Paul Verhoeven movie, Robocop, and it sums up pretty much how the debate about the hybrid is framed. Part man, part machine, all cop. Thank you very much for listening.